There we go. Now we're in frame. What up? It's your boy Jarl. And you know what time it is? It's time for another mother effing Pokemon Draft League. We're doing Wi-Fi again. I'm in another Showdown League, but we're doing Wi-Fi. And what Showdown League to join but the BBR, baby. We are one of the bigger draft leagues of the Pokemon Draft League community. Happy to be part of it. Just giving myself a little introduction here. What up? It's boy Jarl from Canada. West Side, baby. West Side. Yeah, baby. Captain of the Hamilton Torracats, based off of the Hamilton Tiger Cats football team that's there. American football, or Canadian football, I should say. Secondary home of mine. Got family that's there, but I live in West Coast Canada, or West Side, I should say. And yeah, I've been doing Draft League since about November of last year, so that'd be November of 2023. It is now 2024, and so far I've done what, 4 other Draft Leagues. The first one I ever joined for Wi-Fi, I won. I made playoffs another one, and then I made playoffs in Ticket Chat's Friends League, UMPL Academy. Didn't quite make playoffs, and then currently in another Draft League, I'm in UMPLD League. But that's Showdown. But we're back to Wi-Fi for BBR, baby. Let's go! Now, first and foremost, like a lot of people, Dre, Grandmaster, thank you for having me part of this community and part of this BBR league. I humbly thank you for everything you've done for this league and for the community as a whole. OG Albina, Owen, for allowing me to talk to him or chat with him every now and then. Just pick his brains at a couple things. Love your content, man. Keep it up. You do so much for the community too. Great guy. Last but not least, I should say, thank you to my boy D-Double, my boy Dell. He's my West Coast buddy. We became friends middle of last year because his team is the Edmonton Coilers from my city. And ever since then, we became good homies. I hope you're doing well. I know he's got a break of draft content right now, focusing on work and school and life. Wish you the best, man. Love you, my boy. You're the best. And to all the moderators and players I met out there, thank you so much. Now, we're talking about us this time. We're talking about BBR. Let's go over some rules. So it's Wi-Fi. We have 110 points to basically draft whatever we want within the tiers, of course. We have to draft at least 9 Pokemon to 11 at max. And basically, it's Terra preview, so we can have one Terra captain that's 10 points or less, and it can be any Terra type that we want. We just have to announce it right before the battle starts, just so our opponent will know, and vice versa. Now, way battles go, basically just like normal standard rules for Showdown. Revival Blessing is banned, Shed Tail is banned, and Last Respects is banned. So just kind of the standard rules that you'd have for a Draft League. Now, in terms of drafting, we replaced number 2. Extremely lucky. Blessed to be part of that. Let's go over our draft, actually. We might as well. I think that would be a very nice idea. And we will start with our number 1. We got your boy Landorus, baby. Woo, let's go. This mod is legal in this league, and it wasn't worth that much as well. I think I got it for 16 points. I'll check right after. And number 1 draft pick was Dragapult, mind you, obviously, because that mod is a draft beast. And I felt pretty comfortable picking this mod. I was debating with a few friends, and they're like, you should get Landorus. He's got Sheer Force, put a Life Orb on him, and any damage he's going to be doing, he's going to hit hard, to say the least. I was debating about Gouging Fire, but I knew if I was to run Gouging Fire, I probably had to do a Sun Team. I don't think I was that committed to do a Sun Team just yet. We went with Landorus here to Landorus's stats and kind of why we chose him. Now, he's got a decent base 101 speed, so he'll be able to speed creep and outspeed those base 100s, which are a lot of them. He could run mixed as well, more prominently attack than special attack, but with Sheer Force, along with his fast move pool, it makes the special attacks a lot better in my opinion. We will be running Sheer Force, so basically it amplifies our secondary, our attack power by 1.3 times, but it nullifies effects. So let's say if I use a Sludge Wave or Earth Power, for example, it boosts that move by 1.3, but I no longer have the 10% chance to lower the target's special defense, which is okay. Pair that with a Life Orb per se, then we're doing 1.6 times damage, which is ridiculous. Bulk is perfectly fine. Where we won't be eating really an ice type move to begin with unless we put a berry on there, but that is the least of our worries, I would say. I think a fantastic mon to start out with. This mon does a whole lot. It can do a whole lot. I mean, it's got every move under the sun. It's got Nasty Plot, Sword Stance for setup. It's got U-turn for momentum. It's got Substitute Taunt, Weather Ball for weather if I choose to go against, well, not choose to, but choose to use it against a weather team per se. And the nickname will be going with Solo Sokoa. Now, I'll be going with wrestling nicknames like I do with every other league. I'm a big wrestling fan, so if you like wrestling as well, well, the more the merrier, and hopefully we get along with that. Now, off to our second pick. We have Ogre Pawn Wellspring. Now, see, along with Landorus, and along with every other league I join, I try to use a bunch of new Pokemon. Typically about like 90% of the Pokemon are going to be new. I got a couple of returning Pokemon that I have used in other draft leagues that we will check out later, but we're moving on to Ogre Pawn Wellspring. Always wanted to use an Ogre Pawn in draft. I've gone against many, typically, of course, Wellspring and Hearthflame. And Wellspring, I think, just does a whole lot as well. It gives me a water type immunity, which is very good, which helps out Landorus. Basically, I wanted to pick something that was worth a decent amount of points. Or I should say that was still really, really good, but also complements Landorus well, where ice type moves are neutral, and I can eat up water type moves for days because I'm immune to it. Always want to use Ogre Pawn. Ogre Pawn can do a whole lot. It's fast, it's a good physical attacker, and it's great support as well, which we will go see in right here. Now, like I said, speed, attack, very good. Bulk is not terrible as well. We won't be using any special attacks anyways, but it's got Encore, Leech Life, and not Leech Life, sorry, Horn Leech and Leech Seed for recovery. It's got Knockoff to get rid of items right here, Play Rough for Fairy Stab. It's got Stomping Tantrum for Ground Stab, which is really, really nice as well. We can power up with a Sword Stance, use Taunt, Trailblaze to boost our speed, and U-turn for momentum like we did with Landorus. Very decent as well. It can run spikes and spiky shields, so I get a bit of hazards with that as well. I think it gets spikes. I'm not. Yeah, it does get spikes. Okay, and spiky shield to have a different protect in a way. While if someone hits me with a physical attack, it's going to take some damage, which is really, really good. And the nickname we chose for this is Asuka. Asuka, the Empress of Tomorrow. I think currently one half of the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, along with Kairi Sane, I believe. And I'm super happy to use this. I mean, it's another physical mon. You can use with Landorus, but at the end of the day, I mean, Landorus can be mixed. I'm probably most likely going to be using him as a special attacker alongside with his fantastic ability. Now, at this point, normally in drafts, I try to go for a Steel, Fairy, and Dragon Core early. So at this point, all the decent, well, actually, there's still a lot of good dragons that are still out there, but I wanted to go for something I still haven't tried again, and that is going to be being Kyurem. So we got regular Kyurem here, Ice Dragon. So we are weak to quite a few typings defensively, but we're not really going to be using him defensively in the long run. Kyurem can be a good physical and special attacker, so mixed a lot like Landorus, because he does get Skill Shot and he does get Dragon Dance as well. Basically, being at number 2, I can have pretty much back-to-back picks. So at this point, like I was saying, I wanted a Dragon type. I thought Kyurem was pretty good. It's got a decent speed stat as well. And we got the stats right here. Fantastic special attack along with its attack, so you can run mix 125, which is fantastic for bulk. So it's actually a very, very bulky Pokemon. The thing is, its type sucks. So like Fairy, Fighting, Steel, basically normal typings like that, especially defensively, are going to be an issue against us. Ice, we're also going to be taking super effective damage because ice does not resist ice. And 95 speed, still decent speed. We're still within that 101, 110, and 95, so we're still in that decent ground here. Haven't found anything too slow. I was talking before, it does get Dragon Dance, and recently the new added Scale Shot. Scale Shot, yes, yeah, right here. We'll not be running Sheer Cold. No. Cool thing is that this thing also gets screens, got Body Press as well. It's got good old Drop of Draco, Dragon Tail if we want to force out a Pokemon that has setup, or just for momentum base. Earth Power does not get Earthquake, unfortunately. It's got Freeze Dry to hit those water types, so Pokemon like Gastrodon, which I'm going to be going up against first. My opponent might bring it. Just might be a good opportunity. Icicle Spear pairs well nicely with Scale Shot, especially if I'm running a loaded dice, for example, a newly added item in this game to help moves, these multiple hitting moves hit more accurately, or I should 4 to 5 times technically, I should say. I can always run a subset as well and put lefties on him. And he's got nice psychic coverage for those fighting types like we were talking about before. We're going to name Glacier based off the old WCW wrestler, based off of Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat. I'll be displaying pictures up here of the wrestlers and what they look like, and that's what the nicknames are based off as well. Overall, feeling pretty good. As you can see here, we got a bit of a legendary train here, and it doesn't stop there, baby. Oh, no. Because next up, baby, we got Deoxys Defense. Love me some Gen 3. I'm the biggest Gen 3 stand out there. I will defend Gen 3 to the ends of the earth. And one of the coolest Pokemons in that generation being Deoxys got 4 forms. We got Deoxys Defense because Deoxys speed was super high. I think it was like it's like the first tier in terms of Pokemon. I think it's over 20 points. At least I'm barely sure. Could have been 20 or 18. I can't remember what the highest points were. We're continuing this legendary train you see here. We got 4 of them. And what's nice is that this gives us a super bulky defensive mon. I say bulky. His HP stat isn't that great, but defensively he's amazing. And honestly, Deoxys can do so much. He can do so much. As we see here, the HP, like I was telling before, not great at all, but we can always give that a max HP stat and have its defenses be as is, or we can put, let's say, the same amount of EVs into both stats, or we can specifically go into one defensive stat. 90 speed is still fantastic too. It's a good speed. Like so far, this is the slowest thing on the team, that being a number 4, of course. And I was saying how much support it has. I mean, it can set up with Calm Mind. It's got knockoff too. It's got a bunch of good coverage. It's got screens. We can run Meteor Beam along with I think a Power Herb as well. That's right. So we get a little saucy there. Nightshade for consistent damage if we don't have a regular attacking move on there. We also got recover for increasing our health, of course, if we're low, and if we're not running leftovers. It's got spikes and stealth rock, so it's fantastic for setting up hazards as well. Teleport for momentum, of course. We would go last. Taunt to stop people from setting up hazards if we are faster, because again, we did say we got that base 90 speed. It's very good. Extreme speed to basically always go first, and Trick Room if we want to maybe do something a little saucy, and if we have some slower mons later on, Trick to get rid of our item. This mon can do so much. What's nice is that it helps cure him out really nicely too, especially with those fighting types like we were talking about before. So it goes hand in hand with that. And we're calling it Bailey Buddy based off the inflatable waving tube men that Bailey used to have, the wrestler. Again, I'll show a picture there because he just looks like one of those inflatable tube men that you see at like a car dealership. So he's just a funny little fella at the end of the day. Next up, we got our Terra Captain of the Hamilton Torracats, and that is Chandelure. I've loved Chandelure ever since Gen 5. This Pokemon is so cool. I just love its design. Fire Ghost is such a sick offensive typing. It's frail as hell. I'm telling you that. It doesn't get Levitate, unfortunately. Imagine if this thing got Levitate. This thing would be so OP. But we're going to make it OP because it's a Terra Captain. It can use any type as long as we tell our opponent our typing before the beginning of the battle, which should be an issue. Chandelure at number 5, it's worth 10 points because you can use any Pokemon as Terra Captain, 10 points or less. Fire Ghost, like I said, defensively not too great. Offensively, it's amazing. It's got some decent some coverage moves as well, which we're being able to take advantage of. It gives us a nice special attacker, because right now we do have a lot of mixed attackers, more prevalent I guess in the special side. And we'll just go right here. Against fantastic special attack. Bulk, not great, except for its defensive, but we will most likely be able to take 1 hit, at most 2 from something. Base 80 speed, which isn't terrible as well. As you see here, our speeds progressively kind of get lower and lower and lower, but that's not too bad because we're trying to work with the amount of points we have. At this point, I knew what kind of my first 5 mons were going to be, and then the rest was literally kind of out of everywhere. I was looking for a lot of different mons, especially since Chandelure has a lot of weaknesses as well, but thankfully, that being a Terra Captain, we can always change our typing. Back to the set I was talking about, it gets Calm Mind, does not get Nasty Plot, unfortunately, but we got Flame Charge and Trailblaze to boost our speed. Unfortunately, they're both physical type moves, but we also have, let's see, a good amount of fire type attacks. We got Nightshade for consistent damage, Pain Split to get some HP back if we're not running leftovers, for example. It surprisingly got like a decent physical move pool, but I mean, with base 55 speed, you're not going to be able to using it. What's nice, it also has Clear Smog to get rid of stat setup from the opponent's Pokemon, so if something set it up, we're able to have a decent switch in and get rid of those stat changes. Then that's fantastic for us. Most likely it's going to be running Heavy Duty Boots, Choice Scarf, kind of that sort of mix. Maybe even Lefties too, and that could be kind of with Calm Mind, Will-O-Wisp to get rid of, or not to get rid of, actually to hinder physical attackers for that. And we could do a Taunt Substitute set as well. But most likely, this thing's going to be pretty hindered against hazards. So thankfully, we have Heavy Duty Boots alongside Curum, which we'll most likely need as well to get rid of that. And it's got a really, again, with it having any type, I think besides Stellar, you can take advantage of his weaknesses that he will no longer have by changing types. And we're going with Julia Hart, the current TBS AEW champion of current time of recording. I just love Chandelure, especially like non-shiny and shiny. I think it's a beautiful Pokemon. Next up, we got number 6 to bring the legendary train back up, baby, and that's Regieleki. Now, at this point, I needed a spinner. And I needed it fast, so we ended up going with Regieleki. It helps against the flying types, especially against Ogerpon, which really helps out. Base 200 speed is nothing to laugh at. It's got a rapid spinner, and unfortunately we can't use this as a Terra Captain, but in those spicy situations where we need something to go against a decent water type or a decent flying type, then this will be our answer. It's a good screens user, it rapid spins, as I said for the 3rd time, but I felt like I needed something super fast, so I chose Regieleki. Here we go, 200 base speed and 200 base attack, along with special attack, which is really funny, so you can basically run it mixed. Bulk isn't terrible, the defenses are pretty garbage though, but at this point we'll be mostly using it as a defensive mon. Like it does say it does get rapid spin and screens. Most likely that's going to what to be used for. Explosion really helps out if we just need something to just get rid of something at the end and we have no use for it. Thunder Cage to trap the Pokemon in, and Thunder Wave to also hinder the opponent's Pokemon if it's trying to set up, or we just need something to get paralyzed and full switch for momentum. This thing has a very limited move pool, but it also has a very limited niche, and that's why we're using it for flying types, water types, and as a spinner, as a decent light screens user. Can't really go wrong. Based off of Hardcore Holly, who used to be called Sparkplug Bob Holly. Looks like a spark plug. It is a spark plug. Can't really go wrong with that. Next up, we got Mandibuzz. This is a Pokemon I haven't used as well. I've seen it has a lot of use since I think I'll say mostly Gen 6, but I think since Gen 7, it's been having a lot more use as well. A dark flying type, which is fantastic, so gives us something to be immune to ground type moves, especially since we have since the last 2 Pokemon we drafted have been weak to ground types, and that being Chandelure and Regieleki. Gives us a defensive mon as well, sets up Tailwind,
and I think it pretty sure gets Tailwind or Defog. We'll check in a second. But again, having Defog, getting rid of hazards, just gives us another hazards remover as well. Mandibuzz, I've always wanted to use it. Defensive Mon as well. It's got foul play. If something has a decent attack, we can always hit it pretty hard with that. And we'll be moving on to its information. As said here, very, very good, decent bulk. 110 HP, 105 defense, and 95 defense. Its attack and special attack, not great. It's not really going to be using as an attacker anyways, more for just support. And 80 base speed is still fantastic as well. Overcoat for the ability, same as another Pokemon we'll be looking at fairly soon. And like, say it gets, so it does get Tailwind, and it does get Defog, which is fantastic. Like I said, foul play and knockoff, which is fantastic. Get rid of opponent's item, and has stab as well. U-turn for momentum on our side, and we're going to switch out a Pokemon that might be setting up or we want to get rid of, and it's got Toxic. Hallelujah, thank the Lord, it's got Toxic. It's not many Pokemon out here that know Toxic these days, and this is one of the lucky mons that has it, surprisingly. Same with, like, man, I went up against a Terra Umbreon, just little tangent, that mon is crazy because it still gets Toxic. I totally forgot, that mon is busted. But it could do Sleep Talk, Rest Set, Substitute. It's got Roost for recovery, which is fantastic. Consistent recovery, I should say. Can't use it too much, along with Recover from Deoxys, because this generation's been nerfed down from 16 down to 8. So just have to be careful with that. Named it after Mandy Rose, former WWE and NXT women's wrestler. Now does her own thing. She's making bank, baby, anywhere she goes. And Mandy Buzz, Mandy Rose, and you know, like I said, I like my wrestling puns, I like my wrestling names. Don't judge me, but I'm pretty impressed with Mandibuzz right here. Gives us a decent dark type move, especially helps us with Deoxys and Chandelure being weak to dark type and ghost type Pokemon. So it gives us another typing to work with as well, as long with the Earthquake immunity like we talked about. Next up, we got Sylveon, a returning member to the Hamilton Torracats. We used it in Ticket Chat's Friends League to fantastic success, and we're going to be using it here again for this league. Wanted a fairy typing. At this point, wasn't too many decent fairy typings left. Sylveon is a fantastic special wall as well. It's got fantastic support in terms of wish and screens, and as well, it's got Pixelate, so if I want to get past Substitute, I'm fairly sure Hyper Voice hits past Substitute, so that it helps as well. It's going to be helpful against, again, those fighting types that we were talking about before. Unfortunately, gives us another poison weakness along with Ogerpon, but we're not most likely going to be staying in anyways. At this point, just wanted a fairy type mon to go with the dragon type. Steel Core I was talking about. Steel Core we'll be talking about in a couple minutes, but overall wanted to get this mon because I used it previously to decent use. I made the playoffs with this solely because of this mon. It helped me out in many situations, and I really liked using Sylveon as well. Going back to Sylveon, like I said, fantastic special wall, very good bulk, except for physical defense, 95 HP, and a fantastic physical attacker. The only downside is now we're getting slower. We're down to that base 60 speed, but that's okay because we have a fairly decent speed. Q-Charm and Pixelate, I was talking about. If we don't want to run Pixelate, Q-Charm will be fantastic against those physical attacking mons like we were talking about previously. Has a chance to get infatuated because because I mean, if they're the opposite gender, because you know Sylveon's just that darn cute. Baton Pass, fantastic for being able to have momentum at the end. Calm Mind for setup, Drain and Kiss for recovery, as long as Wish right here. It gets screens as well, decent fairy coverage and psychic coverage as well. Trailblaze to set up speed, and we could do this typical like Wish, Substitute, Wish, Protect sets that we're going on as well. If you want to get a little spicy, maybe do a bit of weather, maybe a bit of Tickle or Yawn, because we learned Yawn, so that's pretty awesome. Gives us a Pokemon that knows some sleep, because I don't think he knows Hypnosis. No, he doesn't. If only he did, eh? If only. Fantastic Pokemon. Used it. Riho, one of the most peak AEW woman wrestlers of all time. IMO, fantastic Japanese wrestler, the first AEW women's champion as well. Put some respect on my girl, Riho. Next up, we got Fortress. This is the second Pokemon I previously used. I'm currently using it in the UMPL D-League, which is on Showdown instead of on Wi-Fi. This one's on Wi-Fi, just to reiterate it. And it finishes up our Fairy Steel Dragon core that we were looking for as well, which is very, very decent. We already pretty much have our Fire, Water, Grass core, with Ogerpon having both water and grass, and then we got Chandelure being in the fire type in terms of stab. It's another rapid spinner. It sets up toxic spikes, fairly sure spikes, and stealth rocks, so it's got every bit of hazards. Does not learn sticky webs. If only a new sticky webs. If only. A fantastic defensive mon compared to the Sylphion we're saying are especially defensive mon, and it pairs well with Deoxys because Deoxys is fantastic in both. So we have a lot of good attackers and a lot of good defense users, which is very, very nice. Going back to Fortress, again, middling speed, 40 speed, but we're not using it for the speed at this point. We're using it for defensively. Everything else is not bad. Attack is okay. HP and special defense is pretty garbage, but we're mostly using it for the defense once again. Sturdy, it's not maybe gonna help if we're up against a special defensively fire type. Otherwise, most likely be using Overcoat along with Mandibuzz, as we mentioned before. Moves, like I said, it gets spikes, it gets stealth rocks, it gets toxic spikes, Thunder Wave to hinder Pokemon, Full Switch for momentum, which is fantastic. It gets Rapid Spinner or Tubbo. It gets Screens, which is fantastic. Pain Split to get HP back. Like Explosion and Earthquake, and like to hit those fire types like we were talking about before, or rock types even. But we got Body Press, which is fantastic that they added that last gen, and this Pokemon gets it, because I'm pretty sure we get Iron Defense to boost our defense even more, and we might be able to fucking sweep with this thing. Also, I will swear, I'm a West Side Canadian. I'm born to swear. It's just how I am. So, yeah, this is not gonna be. This is a PG-13 or probably PG-13, PG-14 channel. So if you don't like swearing, I'm sorry. It's just how it's gonna be. We're gonna name it the 4 based off the core, a very mid at most. Pokemon. What the hell am I saying? WWE faction. Not great success. Somewhat success. They didn't last too long, but I got some wrestlers in there I like. But my man is the 4, baby, the core of the team, as you can say. Last but not least, we got ya boy Ditto. Now listen, anything you can do, I can do better. That's what my boy is for. Listen, if they got a mon that's setting up and I don't have any answers to it, and I want to bring Ditto, I'm gonna bring Ditto, okay? It might not be as good as some other Pokemon, but, you know, it's like a nice Uno reverse card, baby. We just need that lucky card at the end of the day to help the momentum swing to our side for us to win the battle. Like I said, with how points were going, originally I had Hitmontop and Skarmory, and then I decided, I'm like, you know what, I should probably get rid of those two, because Skarmory being just a nice steel Pokemon, immune to ground because it's flying type, it gets hazards as well, like spikes and stealth rocks, and Hitmontop having every priority under the sun, and it's got Spinner and Rapid Spin and Ice Spinner. I thought I could do better. And I'm getting Fortress. That's my Spinner and Steel type, and I got Mandibuzz, which is a flying type right there as well. Unfortunately, not going with a fighting type, but if we want to get a little saucy and use Chandelure as a fighting type, we more than likely can. Ditto, I mean, what can you say here? We're not going to be running Limber, we're going to be running Imposter, so we can melee, change to the Pokemon. Stats are very middling, but hopefully we get all those stat changes and moves from the Pokemon we transform into. All this thing can learn is Transform. Most likely I'm going to be running a Scarf on this thing as well to always go first, and won't be locked into it. But I named it after the Pokemon, I said it again, the wrestler, Caw, which if you ever play the video games, it means create a wrestler. Basically, you just make whatever wrestler you want. You can create anything you want, create your wrestler, create whatever. So create a wrestler, you're basically creating everything you want with this guy. I mean, what can Ditto not do? If you get me, fellas. anyways, back to the match. I just think at the end of the day, Ditto, at that point, I had enough points remaining to get him, and I just thought, you know, might as well, what the hell, in a pinch, this thing might help me. Every now and then in competitive Pokemon, you see a Ditto, and sometimes it puts in the work, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, that's why it wasn't too high on the list anyways in terms of points. This was the last Pokemon I drafted, and it leaves me 0 points remaining out of the 110 that we were to go. And otherwise, I feel very good about this roster. At first, like, honestly, you can You could ask a few of my good friends who are in draft leagues and this one. Shout out to Bonana and Trey, who are also in this league. Trey, I face you week 2, buddy. Just you wait, fella. I was all over the place when it comes to what I want and what I needed, and thankfully I had a few good friends who are around my ear to keep my head space sane and to guide me help me guide me in the right direction when I didn't know what to do. A lot of these mods I kind of knew what I wanted to do, but it just helps get some second inputs and third inputs and fourth inputs and so on and so on. And that is our roster review for BBR D-League Season 2. Again, I'd like to thank everyone who I mentioned before previously. I'd like to thank everyone who supported me so far with the videos. I do try very hard with editing my videos. I'm not doing this to get high up on YouTube or to become famous. This is just a passion project, honestly. So if people want to like, support, follow, whatever, honestly, at the end of the day, it just makes me feel great. Got that serotonin, baby. Got that good, I think it's serotonin. Yeah, it's like got those good brain cells, get them all juiced up. This is something I've always wanted to do. I've been wanting to do draft leagues since I saw the first, I forgot it was one, back in the super old PokeTuber days with Oras. Ever since I saw that, I'm like, this is cool, because I got a lot of family members who do sports draft. Not too much of a sports guy, but I love Pokemon, and I think Pokemon Draft is such a cool thing to do. Much funner, more fun than Showdown. I should say Showdown is very up and down for me. Down a lot lately, but I like the way that Pokemon Draft works. It's very, very fun, and the people I've met so far are friends that I can be super friendly and open with, and I'm happy to be part of this community and to be accepted, and ultimately I'm hoping to do okay this season. Gotta make a big impact, baby, because that's what kings do. And thank you guys for watching. Appreciate you sticking this long. It's gonna be a long video, but I'm gonna edit it down, and ultimately hopefully you guys enjoy the content. And for this season that's gonna be coming out, make sure to support all the other content creators down below. I'll probably link their information in the description. Otherwise, have yourself a wonderful day. Thank you for sticking along. Oski Weewie, Oski Wawa, Holy Machina, Torracats, Innerma, baby, let's go!